All right, we are live with our after show. Thank you all viewers who watched our show tonight. This is an emergency, racism from the front lines. Stories, part one. We had a lot of very powerful guests on there, and I know a lot of our ladies wanted to continue the conversation. Some of you also wanted to join. So we are joined here by Mr. Lyndon Jones.
How are you all doing?
Lyndon, tell our viewers a little bit about yourself.
I'm Lyndon Jones. I'm originally from Trinidad and Tobago, the beautiful islands of Trinidad and Tobago. I came here into the U.S. when I was 17 years old in 1987. Fast forward, I'm an immigrant. Of course, I'm a funny Brooklyn accent mixed with Trinidadian. I grew up in Brooklyn, East Flatbush. Church out, three times, right? So my accent. I'm not going to hide my accent. People still ask me up to today why I still sound like I came yesterday. So even Liz is there laughing. She hears it all the time. Man, how long you been here? That's the first thing they asked me, Dr. Ipe. Is how long you been in this country? I said 33 years. Right? And they said, what? 33 years and they still sound like that? I said, yeah. How am I supposed to sound? Right? I could enunciate the words 3-3 very well. Yeah. Right? But I do it, and Liz is laughing because I do it purposely, and I say, come to zone 3, like right. TREE, right. Because people think I cannot say the number 3. I can, right. So
You know what I wanted to bring, because you bring an interesting perspective too, and I know you had wanted to join us with the original segment,
yes.
But we're working. You were a paramedic in New York City for years before you came to Atlanta, and you also worked as a paramedic here, and you are currently working as a nurse here, and very soon will be a nurse practitioner, is what I understand.
I ain't tell much people about that.
Right? Okay.
That's my plan. So, yes, that's my plan, Dr. Ipe, because of women like you, like Liz, like Dr. Heron, who is actually my mentor as well, and so many other people. Dr. Matthews, Andre Matthews, is also one of my mentors. So yes, I'm planning to go to school in the summer, in the fall to start my nurse practitioner program.
Okay, but you're a frontliner, is the point.
Yes,
and
frontliner. Not only a frontliner, Dr. Ipe. My EMS career started at Metro Care Transcare Ambulance Service in Brooklyn, New York.
Okay.
Under the tutelage of rest in peace Steve Zakai. And I survived 9/11. I'm a 9/11 survivor, actually. So not only on the front lines for COVID, I already had my catastrophe, my 9/11 experience, surviving 9/11, being covered by the first building, and when it fell, we were in a liquor store. And that I told Liz the whole story. Sometimes I tear up when I tell the story, but talking about it helps the most. So I am a 9/11 survivor, yes.
Okay, and we're joined by one other guest that I want to introduce. Hello, Mr. Jimmy. How are you?
Hello, I'm doing well.
Hey, Jimmy.
Hey, Jimmy. How you doing?
Yes. So, we are doing the post-show segment, and I'm so happy you were able to join us. We just introduced Lyndon, who is a nurse, a paramedic by background. Can you tell our viewers a little bit about yourself?
About myself?
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
I'm a family nurse practitioner. I currently work at Piedmont Urgent Care in one of their urgent care clinics, and also with Kaiser Permanente and the ACC. Been a nurse for 25 years, started out in the Navy, and glad to be here.
Okay. I know you all were both working today. Were you all able to catch any part of our show? Because this is the after show.
I wasn't able to.
No, that's fine. We basically had a host of Black doctors, nurses, Black police officers. We had all of those people come share their stories. And Jimmy, you and I spoke before, and you had some stories that were particularly moving too, as a Black man who's also a veteran, who is also a nurse and now a nurse practitioner. It doesn't shield you from the racism that we see in this country, does it now?
It does not.
All right. Would you mind sharing some of the stories that you shared with me, with our viewers?
Sure. So when I first moved here to Georgia, getting out of the Navy, I was dropping someone off in where I live now, which is Canton, Georgia. And I was pulled over probably at 10 o'clock at night, and they put their bright lights on one car. The policeman got out of the car and asked me to put my hands on the steering wheel. I put my hands on the steering wheel. I gave him my driver's license and registration, asked why I was being pulled over. And he didn't say anything. He walked away, and then 5 more police cars pulled up, and all of them had their brights on. I couldn't even open my eyes during that time. And it wasn't until about 30 minutes later when he came back, they gave me no explanation and just let me go. So that was one incident. Another incident happened a few years ago when I went into a Golden Corral in Scrubs. A police officer who was working at the Golden Corral, I guess as an off-duty cop, had said, "What's up?" Just looked at me and said, "What's up?" And I looked at him.
Somebody you didn't know at all.
Right.
Okay.
And just how he said it, white officer, "What's up?" And I just walked past him, and I start getting food, and he comes up into my face and he said, "Did you hear me, boy?" And I said, "You need to get out of my face. I don't know what's going on." He was like, "Give me your driver's license." And I'm like, "For what? I didn't do anything." Right. And I said, "Can you please give me my space?" And he's sitting here spitting in my face, yelling at me, telling me what I need to do. Yeah, it was just a mess. And so the manager came over who knew me and asked me to give him the driver's license, which I did. And so he makes a call and he's like, "Find something on it. Is there something he has to have a warrant or something like that? Like, keep looking." And
wow.
And I'm sitting here like, "You're not going to find anything." And I was like, "Are you mad because I didn't say hi to you?" And he gives it back. That next day I called Alpharetta Police, and they were, they said that they couldn't do anything because he was off duty. And so I went back to Golden Corral that day, and I told them about my concerns, and they eventually let him go. So
That's very good.
Yeah, it sounds to me like you had this encounter with the officer, but he wasn't even working in a capacity of an officer, but still felt comfortable asking you for your particulars, running you through the system. And this is while you're trying to get food at a buffet?
Exactly. And the one thing is, even though they're off duty, they're still representing Alpharetta Police because they're in uniform. Of course, they're in full uniform. So it's not like I knew that he wasn't working for Alpharetta, because that's what you're representing, right?
Right.
And so...
But what about people who say, you know what? A lot of these things that you guys are saying, it might have nothing to do with racism. Like maybe he just didn't like the fact that you were being rude to him. Or maybe, Lyndon, they ask you about your accent because they're curious.
Yeah,
Why
well,
does it have to be about your color?
Well, in my instance, Dr. Ipe and Dr. Ladari could attest to this. Most of the questions about my accent are from African Americans or Black Americans in this country, right? So on a night, even up to last night, someone called me some nasty names, and he was a Black man calling me, telling me nasty names about my skin color and about my accent, and telling me to go back to my country. So it wasn't a white patient; it was a Black patient, And this is on a nightly basis. Just because I don't song American, I'm not going to talk in an American dialect. I am a West Indian. I am a West Indian registered nurse, paramedic, EMT. I have a U.S. passport. I'm a U.S. citizen. I am a proud U.S. citizen. In front of my house right now has an American flag because Memorial Day just passed. All right. So what am I going to do? Dr. Ipe?
Right. Would you all say that you're fearful right now? Like, honestly speaking, when you go out, let's say to take a jog or drive down the street, are you fearful, or is this all a myth? Because I've also heard that this is just kind of hysteria. You're not really fearful, especially if you have means and resources. Look at you. You're both, you're a nurse practitioner, you're a nurse, you're a paramedic. You're not really scared.
I'm not. I'm not scared at all, Dr. Ipe, because, and I tell my friends at work, the only time I get scared, honestly, right now, based on my experience, is if I see a plane flying low into a building, because I saw the plane hit, right? So I'm not fearful for my life. I'm fearful for my son's life.
Mm.
Oh.
My 21-year-old son.
Mm-hmm.
He's
Why
who I'm
is that?
fearful for.
Why is that?
He is a young 21-year-old who, drives my car, right? Has been pulled over many times. And just like, honestly, I don't want to lie, Dr. Ipe. I was driving, watching the show on the way home. So I saw the entire show. I'm sorry. I saw Dr. Heron. I saw the police officer. I watched it. Actually, Dr. Heron, Dr. Ipe. No, seriously. Just a quick laugh. I started a watch party in zone 2 while I was giving report to John James. So yeah, and I left it in my on the. So I started a watch party at work. I'm sorry, guys. I didn't.
No, it's okay. It's okay.
But
like
anyway,
you're fearful more for your son because you feel like he would be more of a target. He maybe has less ability to handle himself being younger.
Well, just as the police officer said on the previous show, on the live show on Facebook, I have to tell my son the don'ts, right? Don't argue with the police officer. If you get pulled over, the first thing you do is take your wallet out of the car and put it on the dashboard. Put your hands on the steering wheel and turn your light on in the car. So I have to tell him these things. So just leave your hands on the steering wheel, right? Do not wind down your window until they come to the car. If they want your ID, it's on the dashboard. They can pick it up themselves.
Okay, so you have that conversation that we all kind of have with our children.
Of course.
I want to ask the ladies here a question because I kind of alluded to it in the end of the last segment that the kind of aggression or the kind of fears that we may have as Black women can be a little different. Am I scared that I'm going to be shot by a police officer? Personally, I'm really not. Maybe I should be, but I'm really not. But there are other things I'm afraid of. So I want to know from you, Liz and Sonia, do you also feel a fear personally? Not just for your brothers or your husbands or boyfriends, but yourself personally?
Well, I'm not going to say, I don't know if I necessarily feel, I do feel apprehensive because I don't know what the interaction is going to be. So I probably do have a little bit of fear. Not necessarily maybe for life or death per se, but I do get a little concerned from the standpoint of the interaction and what it could potentially be. And I've even had an interaction, just even a couple of years ago where a policeman, he wouldn't even come to the window. He pulled me over. I had ran a stop sign, and I didn't see, and it's fine. But he saw that I was Black, and the moment that he saw me, he wouldn't even come into the window. I had to reach out of the window in order to give him my ID. And even when he came back to give me my ticket, I had to reach out. Like, he wanted to make sure, I guess, I didn't have anything, but he would not come into the car or come to the window of the car for that interaction. And I was like, I'm not that intimidating. I don't know what that was all about, but definitely, he couldn't even really look at me or talk to me. It was just a matter of, let me get this lady her ticket and let me get out of here.
Wow.
And I don't know if it was around the time that Alton Sterling had gotten killed in Louisiana.
Yeah.
And Philando Castile in Minnesota. And so I know a lot of people were protesting at that time. And so I don't know even if he was fearful, but that's the concern. Sometimes I worry about when they have fear or certain perceptions of what their interaction is going to be. I do get concerned about, okay, how are they going to interact with me? How are they going to deal with me?
How is that fear going to be manifested? And then will that be dangerous for you?
Yes, exactly.
What about you, Liz?
Yeah, Dr. Ipe, I was going to say, if you would have asked me a while ago, are you afraid? I might have been tempted to say no quickly because everybody wants to say they're not afraid, Mm-hmm. But, there's some really practical examples in my life where I realized I am actually afraid of the possibility of police brutality impacting my life and my family. For example, I pay ADT $70 every month for a full security system at my house.
Sure.
Right. And two of my younger brothers live at my house, right? I haven't turned on my ADT security system in over a year, despite the fact that I continue to pay them, because I'm more afraid of my brothers tripping the system and having police show up at my house and it being a situation where they don't remember the code than I am of somebody burglarizing my house and taking my possessions. You know, every time we get a call in the trauma center, if they say anything, but my youngest brother is 24, if they say anything between the age of 22 and 27, and my older brother is 29, or the one right below me, if they say anything 27 to 32, I've texted my brothers, where you at? You good? When they bring patients into the trauma bay, I look at their feet first. Like, this is a real legitimate fear that police violence or gun violence in general could impact my family, you know? Yeah. And so there is like an anxiety and a fear underlying inside of us that's like real, you know, and I think it's good for us to acknowledge it and try to see how to move past it and what solutions there are for it.
I agree. Well, we had a whole segment, so I don't want to keep you all long, but I wanted our guests who decided to join us, and we're so happy to have, to just leave any words or thoughts that they have for our viewers about this conversation that we're having. Let us know what you're thinking. Jimmy? You're on mute. There we go.
Sorry about that. I was getting a lot of feedback. But for me, I think, you know, when I first moved here, I moved into South Forsyth, which is a very racist area at the time when I first came down here. I think that it's definitely has changed the environment, the climate. The only time that, you know, I have fear again is for, you know, for more so my children, you know, because they don't, you know, they're young, you know, and, you know, you can't be there for them. And so I guess that's where my fear comes from, because I know how to address people. I know how to make sure that I stay calm in situations and stuff like that. You know, my license plate has a disabled veteran tag on it. So a lot of times if I get pulled over now, it's more. So I don't think, I think it's more so I respect that he was in the military, you know, versus the person who's in the actual car himself. And so, and sometimes you'll see that a lot, like,
yeah,
they're trying to get stuff out of you from that. Like, oh, you're a veteran.
Right.
You know?
Yeah. So even your veteran status is sometimes questioned.
Sometimes I think that how they ask, you know, it's like, it's not, hey, what branch of the service you were in. It's like, you're a veteran.
Wow.
Like, is this your car?
Yeah. Same way we get, like, are you a doctor? And funny, you have both. You're a physician and a veteran, and I'm sure you also have to answer those challenges. Well, I want to thank you all for joining us on this post after show segment. For all of you who are watching this too, thank you for tuning in again. Please continue to watch us. Like I said, our next segment will be supporters. We are going to have a real honest conversation with people who aren't Black about what we think is important for them to understand and what we hope that they'll do as our allies, and ask some really hard questions that are not going to be comfortable. So join us when we do that. In the meantime, take care of yourselves, be well, and never forget.
Thank you, Dr. Ipe.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye, Liz.
Bye.
Okay. Nice meeting you, Jimmy.